Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm with John Wustrow or Wustrow. How do you pronounce your last
Wustrow,
name?
yep.
Wustrow.
Yep.
Okay. And he is sports writer of the year out of Idaho. And John is a sports writer at the Idaho Press, and this is his first time winning. So really, really exciting stuff there. Welcome, John, and thank you for taking the time and doing this interview and speaking with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a great honor to be to win this award, to be named Idaho Sportswriter of the Year. Like you said, first time I've ever won it. I work with the guy who's won it the last 4 years, BJ Rains. So to follow in his footsteps and to be able to keep it in the Idaho Press family is pretty awesome.
Yeah, awesome. So, John, tell me, so what was your career path like on your way to where you are now? Like, did you always know what you wanted to do? What kind of jobs did you work before in terms of like the press? Did you bounce around? Did you always know that you wanted to end up here? What was your path like to where you are now?
I think I always knew I wanted to get into newspapers, even if, I didn't know if that makes sense. Like I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I grew up a big Michigan football fan, and Sunday mornings, like the thing I look forward to most to after a Michigan football game would be to go out and read everything I could in the Ann Arbor News, and I think that's kind of where my love affair with journalism started. I went to college. I actually went to Indiana University. As a Michigan fan, was kind of weird, but so I kind of went in and I started as a business major there. And my freshman year, I took an accounting class, and I decided after that accounting class, business world was not for me at all. So I basically, kind of switched gears, and I kind of was like, I've always wanted to try, I always kind of knew I wanted to be around sports.
Right.
I was like, I want to kind of try this. So I joined the student paper, the Indiana Daily Student there, and kind of just went fully dove into that. And after college, I got a job in New Hampshire with a small daily paper out there, and that lasted about a year until it was 2008. The economy was crashing, and so I all of a sudden found myself needing a new job. So I basically said, I want to go somewhere I've never been before, and Idaho fit the bill, and I found a job out here and moved out here in the fall of 2008, and I've been doing a little bit of everything for the Idaho Press in terms of sports over the last 12 or so years, but I've been here for more than a decade now.
Right. And that's awesome too. Like something you mentioned that stood out to me is like how you went in wanting to be a business major, or you were a business major and then you ended up, because you knew you wanted to be in sports, so you ended up transitioning. But that's important to know, especially for like younger people like me, or people even younger than me who are just getting into college or aren't really sure what they want to do. Like there's always time to change and transition if that's what you want to do. So that's awesome too. And so what would you say in your current role, tangible or intangible, is your favorite part of your job?
Ooh, that's a good one. I mean, obviously, game day. Being able to be around sports, being able to be around competition, and kind of seeing how the games unfold is definitely up there. But I think being able to tell stories too, and being able to get to let these athletes say what they want to say, and what they want to the public to know about them. Being able to tell that story, I think, is kind of the cool thing about being a journalist.
Right. So being that, kind of that voice, that microphone that they can speak into and amplify their voices. So what do you consider to be the highlight of your career thus far? It could have been, this award, it could have been 20 years ago, but to you, what did you, view as the greatest highlight of your career, or the greatest accomplishment?
Ooh, I mean, I'd say the one thing that like really stood out to me, and just because this had been a dream of mine forever, was a few years ago. It's always been my job to cover the NCAA basketball tournament. I've always, it's been one of my favorite events of the year. And when it was in Boise a few years ago, 2018, just getting to cover that and getting to be around a lot of, a lot of great journalists, like a lot of journalists that I had, read in from a national level. And just, it was kind of cool to be in
Right.
the same room with them and, kind of being in the same press conference with them. And just, I don't want to say I was awestruck, but starstruck, but it was a cool moment.
Yeah. It was that is very cool too. And you know, I was talking to in under, other interviews, I asked, people who've won multiple times if they've been to the award weekend um that the NMSA, hosts. And they say, yeah, one of their favorite parts is always being around other sports writers and sportscasters because one, they can learn from them, but two, it's also like it's nice to be around like-minded people who could share experiences from with each other, and you could grow from, or you could just laugh with, because they understand what you do on a day-to-day basis. So when I heard that, it kind of reminded me of that as well.
For sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm looking through the list of people that won it. It's really an honor to be,
yeah.
named alongside a lot of these
Right.
people. And it's just like, I have to pinch myself. I'm like, am I really like the same level as these people? But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's pretty
yeah,
cool. And I definitely look forward to the awards weekend. So
yeah. That's definitely going to be super exciting. But so, like, for people my age, maybe a little younger, because I'm 21, so my age, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, or people that are transitioning later in their career who just are getting into the sports media industry. What is like the best piece of advice you could give those people who are new to it, or maybe in it but are maybe in a rut and need a little help getting over that hump? What's like
just
the
do it
best
as
piece?
much as
Yeah,
you can. Just do it as much as you can. Just dive right in, do as much writing, take as many assignments as you can. You're only going to get better. I look back, the very funny story, the very first story I ever did for the student paper in Indiana. Basically, my editor assigned me to do a story on a Brazilian jiu-jitsu class, and I can't remember the guy's name, but it was some world famous Brazilian jiu-jitsu instructor who was coming. And I kind of made, being in Indiana, I made a kind of reference in my lead about, oh, this isn't Bobby Knight School of Basketball teaching, and that got edited right out. It's like,
yeah.
so I mean, but I look back at that, I'm like, oh, that was a really like cringe-worthy lead, and not
Right.
something that I would ever do today. But it's like, you learn as you go along. You learn as the more you write, the more you learn, the better you get at it, the more you find your voice, and the just more you better you become a storyteller.
Yeah, and that's a funny story too. And my last interview with Ken Summers, who's a sports writer from Arizona, asked him the same question. He said, like, the number one thing is getting reps in, right? Like getting those reps in,
Mm-hmm.
just writing, because like you said, you won't know you're like messing up or you made a mistake until you do it, and you learn from
Mm-hmm.
doing that and being like learning from mistakes and being like, well, I'm never going to do that again. And even though you look back at it now and you're like, why would I ever even think that was a decent decision, then you truly didn't know, right? So then you learn, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why getting those reps in is so important. So that is awesome to hear. If it,
Exactly. As
yeah.
long as you learn from it, it's mistakes can be learned from, and that's the biggest thing that you gotta learn. And especially as a young journalist, you're gonna make mistakes, and you just have to learn to say, okay, well, this wasn't the smart idea. Maybe I do something different next time.
Right. And also, like, how was your experience when you were new to, like, reaching out for help, like asking, people that had been in the business longer than you, like, how was that experience with you? Did you ask a lot of questions? Did you reach out to people who've been doing it longer to maybe help you or get you out of, a rut, or maybe just you needed help with something or proofreading, whatever the case may be?
I mean, obviously at the student paper where I started, we were all new, so
Right.
none of
Right.
us really knew what was going on. But I mean, I definitely had people that I kind of especially later in the career, like editors, that who I kind of would reach out to and say, hey, even today, like my editor Greg Lee, I'll even bounce ideas off him. I'll say, hey, I'm not sure if this idea will work. What do you think about if I do, take this approach to this story, and what do you think? And it's something, even 15 or so years in the business, I'm still doing it. I'm still reaching out to people to say, hey, what? Because I'm not going to pretend to know everything. So it's you gotta help.
Right.
You gotta find help where you can, and that's something that you always got to do as a reporter.
Exactly. And I asked that because I know like a lot of people, my age or who are a little younger and new to it are just getting, their foot in the door. It's daunting sometimes, and to ask questions, to reach out, to learn more, because you don't want to seem like incompetent or like you don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking about. But the reality is like you don't know half of what you could or what you will learn. So it is important to ask those questions and maybe gain that knowledge a little sooner. So that's why I asked that, because I think it is super important, even though it is daunting and hard to do sometimes. um 99% of people will want to help. So
yeah.
I think that is important to know. But yeah, John, for that, those are all the questions I have. If you want to thank anyone before we head out, or anything like that, you could go ahead and do that now. But just congratulations again, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to thank the association. Quite a great honor. Like I said, first time, winning this. So it's just you know, very big honor. Obviously, want to thank the team we have at the Idaho Press. Sports editor, like I mentioned him, Greg Lee. He's been a great help. BJ Rains. He's been fantastic. I worked alongside him for 7-8 years now, and he's just professional in every sense of the way. Our management team, just at the Idaho Press, they're fantastic. They let us do the work that we want to. I mean, yeah, I mean, basically, and of course the readers, like that's the biggest thing. That's who you do it for. Is if you don't have an audience, you don't have a job. So
Right.
that being able to write for them and being able to tell stories to them, and of course the athletes too that let me tell their stories. That's a big part of it as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, John. And congratulations for winning your first time sports writer of the year out of Idaho. Thank you.
Thank you.